Did you see the poem I wrote you in? Well, I mean, it's not for you. I just wrote it in some business line. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. It was like a thing where it was like, he was proving a point by asking us to say this is word color. Yeah, and so if you write 6 words and you send it to someone, you're like, this is my poem. That's copyrighted as yours. Those words are yours for the rest of your life, plus 70 something years afterward. And so, I'm sure that my poem was mine, and so to do that, I needed to read it and write it in written form and send it to somebody that made sense to me.
That's a good poem, okay.
I actually shared that in class. I was like, it's really dark. He's like, is it like a place that you're willing to go to with us? I'm like, okay, yeah, we can.
Yeah, there's no charge.
I'm like, I don't know how the rest of the class will feel about this.
Yep, yes.
Yep, I see. I have some pulled up. Alrighty, it is 4:04 p.m. So I'm calling this meeting to order. First thing, we have our land recognition statement. Student government acknowledges that we live, work, and learn in the homeland of the Dakota people, whose language frames our institution's name, Minnesota State University, Mankato. And now I will be going into first roll call. Senator Leone is on Zoom. Senator Franzen is also on Zoom. Senator Mucci.
Here.
Senator Prignitz.
Here.
Senator Emke is on Zoom. Senator Ponte.
Here.
Senator Bugney. Senator Reyes.
Here.
Senator Maega.
Here.
Senator Thapa.
Here.
Senator Mpanga.
Here.
Senator Lee. Senator Dietrich.
Here.
Senator Smith is on Zoom. Senator Green.
Here.
Senator Johnson.
Here.
Senator Moore.
Here.
Okay. Senator Maba is on Zoom. Senator Knauer. Senator Karki.
Here.
Senator Livingston.
Here.
Senator Riggle.
Here.
Senator Colleran.
Present.
Senator Zelmer.
Present.
Senator Ide.
Present.
Senator Hillstead.
Present.
Senator Isaac.
Present.
I am here, President Narella,
Present.
and Vice President Jay is here on Zoom. And we do have quorum. Okay, and then moving on to our agenda, is there any amendments to our consent agenda? Great, seeing none, is there any dissent to our agenda? Any dissent? Seeing none, the agenda has been approved. And then before we go into open forum, we would like to invite President Inch up to the podium.
Thank you all.
Is the microphone on?
I'm not sure it's on.
Jocko?
Found it. Yeah. I won't take up much of your time, but I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words about where our campus is, some of the status, and probably most importantly, the most pressing event that has happened in the last week was the detainment of one of our students by ICE. And so I wanted to let you all know where we are with that, what is happening, and what steps have been taken, and where we're going to go from here. And then I wanted to get you caught up on a couple of other things. So last Friday at 11:30 in the morning, one of our students living off campus with his younger brother was arrested by ICE and detained. He is still in custody. Over the weekend and through Monday, we spent some time finding out what happened, where he was, and trying to connect with the family. I've not released a lot of details about this because the families asked for privacy as they position whatever their legal case would be. We have worked, in our Kearney Center for International Studies has done exemplary work here to help align legal resources for the student, for the family, to make sure that the student is represented. I called Senator Klobuchar, who has been very supportive and is going to see what she can do, both federally, but also in trying to get support for the student and the family. I talked with Senator Smith. Senator Smith has been very proactive as well and very helpful in trying to coordinate activities both here, but also what can be done at the federal level to try to put some pressure on, or at least find out why. I mean, there are a lot of rumors about why this happened, but none that are clear to me. I mean, there's nothing that pointed to this person should be taken. I talked to Higher Ed Commissioner from Minnesota, Olson. He has been working with the governor's office. I spoke with the governor's office. We've had long conversations there about what the governor can do and working through what we can do to help make our campuses safer, at least find out how are people being selected. We called Representative Finstad. We've talked to Senator Frentz from Minnesota, and we called Representative Frederick. One of the things that's challenging about this is there's not a really clear action step. There's not a clear way even to find out what it is we need to defend against or what it is we tell anybody how to defend or how to prevent this. What we can do is make sure that our elected officials know what is going on, the impact it is having on campus, why this is not something that should ever happen on a university campus. You know, universities are a place where we ought to be able to have lots of free debate exchanges. We ought to be able to engage with one another over very difficult issues. And I don't even know if that's why. I've heard rumors there are different reasons, but I have not seen it. And I wish I could come and say, here's the answer and how we're going to move forward, but it's just not forthcoming yet because as many calls as we've made to the agencies involved, we don't get them returned. Our folks that work in the international studies programs and global studies in the provost office, they've put in a lot of hours and they've worked hard and they're frustrated, as I suspect you are. I know I am. As we try to get this resolved and try to make it so that we don't end up having this happen again for any of our students. But I do understand that there are 5 other students that have had their visas terminated and will need to return to their country of origin at some point between 0 and 60 days, and we're trying to find that out. So that's what I know, and I honestly wish there was a better thing I could tell you. But the folks up in the International Studies program, they're on it and doing, I have great confidence in Will and his team. I have great confidence in the work that's being done in the provost's office. And should there be an update, anything that would be meaningful, we'll get it out to you. We're also posting FAQs for what we know so far. That's in the Kearney Center, as well as I think the provost's office has some up. And then anything that comes out, I'll let you know. I'm going to pause there and see if there are any questions that I can answer about this. This has been the most important subject for this week that I've tried to focus on and get something that I'd be able to tell you all about today, but I don't have much to tell you other than what I just said.
I can move over to the audience.
The audience has been yielded to.
Those 5 students whose visas were terminated, were they students of this university?
Yes.
Hi, I'm an international student here. I'm really concerned about my own safety and safety of my friends. So what are the specific actions that are being taken by the university to protect us? I understand what you said, and I got all the emails that Kearney International Center have sent us, but everyone I talk to, they all talk in those vague phrases that we're doing everything we can and all that stuff, but it's just not reassuring.
You're right, it's not reassuring. So the specific things I can tell you is we'll get information out to you so that you are as informed as we are about what it is that is happening and if there are certain things that we can do that prevent this in the future. So if there are things you need to do, we'll let you know. But probably the most important thing, and this was a long conversation I had yesterday with an attorney in Minneapolis who's an immigration attorney who specializes in this thing, is we need to get together a list of attorneys that are willing to work with us pro bono. He is one. That if anybody is either has their visa revoked or if anyone is detained, what the protocol is for getting assistance to that person as quickly as possible. But also the other thing is what you wouldn't know, and I'm not going to talk about here, is all the things that happen below the surface. And that's not really your question, but there's a lot that's happening below the surface, but involves a particular family and a student, and they've really asked not to be identified or have anything that points to them because they want to mount a strong legal defense. So I think it's going to be working through our elected officials to make sure that they can put pressure on where they have some ability, because we can't really put a lot of pressure on because we're a campus in Minnesota. They're working in DC. But the other piece is that the ones that are, the ones that are here, the attorneys that are here that can help a student when something happens, I think is right now our best defense.
How about banning
I would
ICE?
like to say, gallery, if you've never been here before, in order to speak, you do need to be recognized by a senator or somebody at the table. That's just like our basic rules, because we do follow Robert's Rule of Order, so you do need somebody from the Senate to yield to you before you can ask a question. Senator Colleran,
Yield to the gallery.
so then now you can speak.
Thank you. A number of elementary schools throughout the country have banned ICE from being in non-public places. And the things that happened on campus, a student being kidnapped, and I think we should call it kidnapping or abduction because there are no charges, and it's not the first case in the country. So they've banned ICE. They were able to ban ICE from entering non-public spaces. Why can't a university who has the 15th largest international student population in the country do that? I'm just really interested.
We can prevent ICE from being in non-public spaces, so they can't go into private spaces unless invited. This student was not taken off campus, by the way. They live off campus, right? But they're allowed in any public space, as is anybody.
Yes. Thank you.
Senator Dietrich?
If ICE were to ever come to our campus again, do they have any duty to notify the university that they are present and doing any type of action? It doesn't sound like that was the case for this abduction. But because it is a public university, obviously for public spaces, they are allowed to come and go, but how are we tracking when they're present on campus?
So I don't know that they have been on campus. So maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But like anybody else that walks on campus, we don't flag people when they come in and take an ID. If they're here in an official capacity, and if they have a subpoena, or if they have a cause that they want to be on campus for, every staff member, and I'll let you all know too, is you direct them to my office, because there's a protocol that they need to go through at my office, including verification of the subpoena, verification of the cause, and what it is they're on campus to do and where they're going to go. But I wouldn't expect you all to do that, and I wouldn't expect any of our staff members to do that, but I do expect them to direct them to my office. And if it is off hours and I am not here, or Chief of Staff Sherry Sargent is not here, then it is going to campus security. And they will have the protocols that ICE would need to go through.
Senator Ide?
Thank you. And thank you for your time. This is a very pressing issue, and I've heard that there's been similar situations at the University of Minnesota regarding taking a student. Are you aware if that's like the same with, is that happening anywhere else in any other universities? Or like you mentioned, the 5 visas taken, has that happened at like the U of M or anything like that?
I don't know about U of M. I know that it has happened at at Cornell. It has happened at was it Drake? What was the one over the weekend with the woman that was picked up? Tufts. That's right. So there are cases like that I've read about, but I'm unaware of what's going on at U of M. I'm imagining that they're having the same experience.
Senator Wood?
Are like CAs in student housing given any sort of what they're supposed to do in this situation?
Who? I'm sorry.
Like the CAs and
Oh, yeah. Yes. I mean, everybody who's on staff has been given the same information. We're posting more stuff for them all the time. Everybody's been informed. that they need to go see people in my office if ICE is on campus.
Seeing no other questions for right now. Senator Miucci, sorry. I didn't see that on the computer.
When a student gets detained or their visa gets revoked, what happens to their classes or the tuition they've already paid?
That is a great question. We're going to do our best to ensure that the student's able to complete their classes, however it is that happens. It depends on the different kinds of conditions. And so, for example, if revocation is a 60-day window, that's fine. They can complete where we are right now. But that's not a long-term solution. So we need to come up with how we're going to manage students that might have their studies interrupted. And so what I've asked the provost to look at is what would be, a way for completion to happen. Because one of these students, they're close to commencement, right? So I want to make sure that the student has that opportunity. And so that's being worked on a case by case.
Alrighty, so if you do have more questions, we can save them till later, because I believe President Inch has more to add to his little.
And I'm just going to go really briefly, because I know you've got a really packed agenda. It's that time of year. I wish I had happier things to tell you in spring because, this is kind of a time to celebrate. We've got people that are going to be graduating. We've got a lot of senior projects that are going on. There are a lot of things that are going on across campus that are exciting. And this sort of just puts a pale over it. And I'm not crazy about delivering that news, but I thought it was important at least to share it with you. The other thing you ought to be aware of is we have been lobbying hard, as I know many of you have, on some of our building projects. I just want to make you aware of 3. Armstrong Hall remains the highest priority the campus has to fund. We're asking the government here to fund it on what's called a GO bond, a general obligation bond, and we're asking for $87.5 million. That is a critical piece of our infrastructure that needs to happen. We were given money a couple of years ago to get the building designed. It's designed. We were ready to go. We could, turn dirt tomorrow and be over next to the library is where we're going to put it so that we're able to leverage the library space with the new building space. It's a tight year for the state's budget, but the legislators we are talking to have been very supportive of getting that building built. We think it's critical infrastructure. You can't learn the way you need to learn in a building that wasn't designed for the very active kind of participatory kinds of work that students now do with their professors. We also would prefer that students could actually take a team into a professor's office, or at least in a lounge near the professor's office. You can't even get 2 people next to one another in the corridors next to the professor's offices. It's not a good building, but probably the most important thing, the infrastructure is failing. And I don't want to put a lot of money into infrastructure in a building that's not going to be able to do its job much longer. That's the first thing. What you may not have heard, and that one's designed and ready to go. The next one that you may not have heard about is that we are seeking to build a new residence hall, and a residence hall that has a first floor of mixed use kinds of purposes from, retail outlets, or we'd like some, put the our Maverick Wear that's in the bookstore here that's closed on weekends, that put it out on by the edge of campus. We think there needs to be a restaurant. I've heard from many students the need to have a grocery store, one that has culturally appropriate food or different kinds of food. That would be better for students than using the Quick Trip as your source of food up here, because we kind of are in a food desert. I would like to have a good, stable, permanent place for all of our health services, would be part of this facility, and then about 350 bedrooms designed in apartment style, so around a central living area, 4 rooms with separate baths. That is in the process of, it's called pre-design right now, and so different constituents across campus are having a chance to weigh in on it, and our students will have a chance to weigh in on it. I think today or tomorrow, Residential Life will have a chance to talk through what it is they would like to see in it and what is necessary and what would make this building something special. The third building that's being built is, so the residence hall is going to be built in a private-public partnership that won't ask the state for money, but it will be funded privately. The third thing we're building, which is entirely private dollars for which we've been taking donations, is a replacement for Blakesley Stadium. Blakesley Stadium is past its prime, and it's not a good environment for game day, but we would like to build a facility that can do something much bigger than what the existing facility does. So when we did an economic impact study on whether or not this would be a good investment for private donors, the study came back with, we should be able to program an additional 115 events in something that, if it was nicely done, that would be recurring each year and bring people to campus, which is a good thing. In fact, one of the organizations on campus is giving input to this was our esports team would like to host the world's largest esports tournament there. I don't know if it'd be the world's largest, but maybe. And have events there from, you know, football to concerts to things that would be engaging during the course of the year. So you may hear more about those 3 projects as we begin to work hard with our legislature, and we do the pre-design part for each of the pieces that are privately funded. So I wanted to make you aware of that so that if you have somebody that's inviting you to some session to do a focus group and it's about that, that's what it's about. And with that, that's all I was going to say unless you have questions.
Senator Karki.
Information. As you were talking about these new buildings and new infrastructures, are there aspects of more environmental friendly, energy sustainable resources that are part of the design, or how are these approaches?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. So the goal is all of these will, worst case, be carbon neutral. We think we can do better. They'll all be made, including the Armstrong replacement, with solar that can feed into the network. Now, we need to do more with solar, because we had a study done and we had an earmark request out to I think it was Klobuchar's earmarks 2 years ago to get that funded for the whole campus, which would offset 28% of our electrical consumption. And I'd like to get there, but we're going to build these so that they're ready to go. And we'd also like to get more opportunities for electric car charging. As those prices come down, particularly in the used market, I think they become more attractive to students. They become more attractive to our faculty who you know, mostly just drive in this region. So that's the goal, and is to make sure that they are designed around being able to conserve the amount of energy that is needed to not only run them, but also the space between them. I mean, part of the reason to build a new residence hall is I'd like to see at least 70% of our student population come within a mile of campus. There are a lot of advantages of that. Build stronger community, you can use the facilities and the resources of campus, but also cuts down our car commute time. Car commuting is the biggest single cause of carbon on the campus right now. And if we can reduce that by helping people get in closer, but as most of you know, there's not a lot of affordable apartments in the market within a mile of us or 2 miles of us. So trying to bring that in closer and having more housing on campus is important.
Senator Dietrich.
There was someone in the gallery over there that I'd like to yield to.
Thank you very much. A question I have regarding the replacement for Armstrong Hall is, I know you mentioned that this building has already been planned. Are these plans available to the public in some easily accessible way?
They need to be certified by the trustees, and then they will be.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Moore.
I know the stuff with Armstrong's been in the works for a really long time. I was just kind of wondering, obviously we don't want to like, you know, fix up the other place if it's going to be torn down, but like, at what point is it like, sorry, I'm trying to phrase it. It's been the Armstrong plans have been in plans for a very long time, and we're like behind on those still. And I was kind of curious, like what we thought was happening with that, I guess. Like,
I think the challenge for the legislators working with it is an awfully expensive building. It'll be the most that they've ever allocated for anything out of Minn State. And I think that gives them pause. Now, I do point out to them that at 10 times the cost of an Armstrong replacement, they're building a new legislative building in St. Paul, which some agree with me and others don't, but that's a $768 million building that's being built there now. Our students deserve a state-of-the-art building too. Here's my alternative, and I may need to pivot to this, is if we can't get that building built, then Armstrong in its current condition is not a good long-term solution. Minimally, it needs an HVAC system. It doesn't ventilate as well as it should anyway, but that's a $22 million change. So if you're not going to put money into a new building that would be energy efficient, more how our students study, better for our faculty to teach in, more contemporary. It has real power that comes into it. So it can actually power the computers and all of the screens in the building. If you're not going to do that, then we're going to have to start putting in the money to repair what it is we have now. And total cost of that is just under $68 million. And that doesn't change classrooms. That doesn't change offices. It doesn't create any of the amenities that we should have. And it's a frustration. And since many of our legislators are alums, they've been in the building, they know.
I believe that is all for questions, but I would like to let all of our senators know that President Narella, myself, and Vice President Jay will be attending meet and confer tomorrow with the president and his cabinet. So once we find out more information, I'm pretty sure President Narella will share that with you all as much as we can. And then if you do have more questions, just please come to President Narella, myself, or Vice President Jay. But thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, well, thank you for the opportunity. Take care.
So now going into open forum, is there anyone else here for open forum? You can come up to the podium.
Well, first off, I just want to say it's just about my luck that as I'm about to graduate from a political science program, they are going to build a new Armstrong building. Hi, my name is Cole. I am the president of Mavericks for Change. We are a progressive student organization here on campus. Our focus right now is on addressing what's going on with the student who was abducted outside of his home here in Mankato not too long ago. I hope you guys have access to your emails. I've sent out to the student government roster 2 resolutions that I'm going to propose to you today. I don't intend to get them passed within this session. More or less, I am looking for sponsors and people who would be willing to support these legislations. The legislations in question are the resolution for noncompliance and the resolution for ethical disclosure. I will go over them in order of their significance. First off, I come here today with a group of international students who are all concerned about their safety, walking in and around campus and just generally out and about in Mankato. And I do appreciate the comments made by President Inch. They have sort of renewed my faith in the university in taking proactive measures to deal with ICE. I just want to stress how frustrating it is as a political science major and as someone who studies the history of the United States, that anyone should be afraid of their government here in the United States of America. It is incredibly frustrating. And the Trump administration's excursions it's made into campuses has been part of a long manufactured scheme to harass students at universities and discourage the use of free speech, particularly on the issue of Palestine. But as time goes on, I'm certain they will use it for more than just that. So I've proposed the resolution for noncompliance, which I hope you guys can see. For the most part, I'm just asking for a formalized version of what President Inch's is implementing over the next couple weeks. That in particular being, let's see here. The student government requests that Minnesota State University Mankato will formally institute a policy whereby neither ICE nor cooperating law enforcement are permitted into non-public areas by authorized campus officials without obtaining a supporting warrant. I see that policy has been implemented. I would like to see it written down in a rule book and adhered to throughout the rest of Inch's tenure and whoever comes after. Because I respect the decisions the administration is making right now, but just as the Trump administration has applied pressure on universities like Columbia by restricting their federal funding until they adhere to a very specific list of demands, I am nervous that university administration would follow a similar path. Because there are a bunch of students on campus, myself included, who are outspoken on the issue of Palestine. Secondly, I just want to emphasize the conditions that come with being detained by ICE. Am I not? Okay. The conditions that come with being detained by ICE, it is not as simple as the government revokes your visa, you chill in a jail for a couple days, and then you go back to the country from which you came. When you are detained by ICE, you could be detained indefinitely. In fact, that has been the case for a broad swath of migrants who have been detained by ICE. Under the Laken Riley Act, undocumented migrants and asylum seekers face mandatory detention if arrested or charged, not convicted, of theft-related crimes. Moreover, they are not entitled to a bond hearing and risk indefinite detention. This, combined with cruel conditions under for-profit detention centers, including overcrowded facilities, insufficient medical care, solitary confinement, and rampant disease, has culminated in numerous preventable deaths and perhaps the largest violation of due process ever recorded. It is a violation of due process to hold someone without imposing any charges. And while ICE has the ability to detain people without charges on the suspicion that they don't have the correct papers to be in the United States, these students do have the correct papers. They're simply being detained, I would assume, on the basis of their speech. Okay. So secondly, I want to talk about the resolution for ethical disclosure. It has been about a year and a half of what's been going on in Gaza. I want to make it clear what is going on over there and what I expect the university to do about it, and what I think the avenues of pressure that I believe the student government can use to make some significant change here. Israel's relentless murdering of Gazans, destruction of their homes, hospitals, schools, and mosques, targeting of journalists, purging of cultural artifacts, and systematic starvation of their children is nothing if not genocide. 62,000 Palestinians, including 17,000 children, have directly died from Israeli airstrikes. The Lancet conservatively estimates 182,000 Gazans will indirectly die of hunger and disease. 1.9 million people are displaced, with 92% of housing destroyed or damaged. There are no fully functional hospitals nor schools. Gaza has become an open grave for Palestinians who cannot evacuate nor return to their homes. Myself and hundreds of students want the assurance that our university hasn't contributed a cent toward that atrocity. Already, as taxpayers, our taxes have afforded $22 billion for Israeli weapons and military operations, financing that Israel cannot sustain its genocide without. Americans seemingly have no agency over their involvement in this disaster. To mitigate this, Mavericks for Change introduces the Resolution for Ethical Disclosure, which would request the Foundation Board audit their finances according to the divestment list provided by the American Friends and Service Committee, and demand they adopt an environmental, social, and governmental framework that captures their ethical considerations. Students and alumni have the right to financial transparency and to understand which moral guidelines their college adheres. Just so I know, do you guys have access to these resolutions? You've seen them. I would like to open the floor to you. I don't know if I can formally do that, but if you have any questions about it, I'm willing to answer them.
Yep, you can ask questions. Senator Hillstead?
So, say the federal government does say theoretically threaten us with lack of funding our university. What are your thoughts on us, like, this is hard really to word, but like, if we just like get limited funding, like, and we for supporting this, then we hurt all the other students around campus who need this funding to attend the school and attend the university for these certain activities and events that we host.
So this is a question of what moral consideration do you give here? Would you rather your university pour money into an open genocide, which has been declared so by Amnesty International, and has been completed by 2 war criminals who we invite to our country routinely? Okay. I ask that our educational institution do something about it. We have not yet gotten to the point where the federal government will decide to levy some sort of consequences upon our university for taking action like this. For legislation like this, I'm not asking even for the university to divest from these funding sources yet. So that's not necessarily a question of consideration. I'm asking for them to confirm to us, the student body, whether or not they have put money into these funding sources. And from there, it's kind of up to us to make decisions about it. This is a question of financial transparency, not outward divestment yet.
Senator Zelmer.
Thank you so much for being here. My question, I had mentioned it in the Legislative Affairs meeting, but with the foundation board being a separate entity, we can't really tell them what to do. And then also along with that, their investments are most likely larger mutual funds, which companies inside of that would change day by day. And you'd be asking each company each day, what are you investing to, which could be multiple. So it's, how are you planning on understanding all that information when you could be getting millions of different kind of information on how they're being funded?
So for all of these, I'm simply asking for a confirmation, yes, have you, or no, have you not? And if the answer is yes, historically you have, that is as well information that I would like to know. It's a list of 50 companies. Yes, have you historically? No, have you not? Yes, are you right now? No, are you not? That is what I'm seeking to figure out, or we as the student body are. And the ESG proposal, which is a sort of like a code of ethics, which a financial institution can create and have itself abide by, is entirely up to the university. It can decide whether or not genocide is a moral investment. We just want to know whether that is their consideration or not.
Senator Livingston.
With the knowledge that like just the unrealistic nature of what divestment means.
I don't think it's unrealistic. It's been done.
With it being unrealistic, for the sake of knowing that having financial transparency and having a supposed end goal, which you know is unrealistic, equating to less scholarship money for students, don't you? What really is your end goal with this? You said yet at the beginning there. What really is your end goal with this?
My end goal is to know that whatever money I put into my tuition, or whatever money that alumni choose to donate, if I choose to donate to my university as an alumni, none of that money is going towards the systematic extermination of Gazans.
If we already know financial complexities, like Senator Zelmer mentioned, how do you really know that your dollars are going to these funds, which are, like I said, ever changing? They're so complex. There's so many networks. It really is hard to track down where your investments are truly going. Have you take that into consideration?
I take into consideration the fact that other universities, their students have pressured their governments and their administrations to figure out where their money has gone, and they've gotten so much as how much of it this month and how much of it the next month. They know, they figured out and they acted upon how much money has gone to these companies which are invested into Israel and its genocide. I'm asking for some confirmation that at any point in time, so much as a cent of our money has gone into any of these companies.
Senator Isaac.
Well, first, I personally thank you for not only being here, but also giving us this information. I think it's very important to have it in mind. But it's not a secret for anyone that while we are starting to see some gaps in the freedom of speech, there are a lot of students that can get threatened, and that can be in threats for using this freedom of speech. So my question is, do you have any short-term or mid-term plan to ensure risk reduction on the safety of these students, especially like Mavericks for Change students that join this campaign, join this information? Do you have any risk reduction plan for it?
Yeah, so international students are not encouraged to come to our protests, and if they do, we require that they wear a mask or something similar, and they do not show up in any pictures or anything of the sort. As for our Mav Central app, I've told them that you simply need to leave us on Mav Central. You cannot officially be a part of our organization because you run the risk of being deported for being pro-Palestine. That's not right, but it's what we have to do to ensure your safety.
Yeah, I would like to answer to a few questions.
Okay. He would like to answer a couple questions.
Yeah. So I would like to answer one of your senator's questions, Ben Livingston, and we have met before as well. And he asked this very intelligent question of why do you need a paper trail last time. We explained him that paper trails are accountability. And your question, why do we need to know? Well, so this very question, is that it makes me question your morality. It feels like your moral compass is broken. I'm not attacking your personality or anything. It's just, I'm on a State Department grant. And if I knew that all of that craziness was happening, I would have never accepted that grant. Or if I would never associate myself with any institution, with any university or a company that does not match my moral, my morale, my values, or anything. And if you don't care, like, where your money is going to, I'm sorry, I don't think the question is to us. I think the question is to you. Thank you.
I'll try to make this super brief. My name is Jordan. Some of you already know me. Many months ago, I sat where you sit. I was once a student senator. This is to answer the question of what is the end goal, what do we seek to accomplish, and how do we seek to accomplish the terms of divestment. Talking about how this is a complex issue, and the foundation would to me, it sounds like you're saying this would be too much work for the foundation to go through their mutual funds and figure out where their money is going. And to me, that sounds like the foundation is being lazy, and you are putting money over morals, and you're putting money over the lives of people around the world. We have Palestinian students here. We have future Palestinian students who are currently being bombed that would come to this university. And I find it very, very, very ironic that you open up this meeting with acknowledging Dakota land when hundreds of years ago they were genocided by the same government that is still continuing to carry out genocide, and you refuse to divest, and you refuse to hold compliant ICE on the university for the sake of money and the sake of optics and antics and whatever. I know how the student government works. You have more power than you think you do. Pass a resolution, use your voices. Money is not the end all be all. I would rather go to a university that is broke and morally in the right and not contributing to the genocide of innocent people, both here and abroad, than go to a university that has polished floors and polished windows and nice services. It's not worth it. Thank you.
Yes.
Please keep order, and I would like to ask everybody in the room to please be respectful of one another. Because the people sitting at this table have been elected by the student body. The student body has elected these people. So please be respectful of everybody. Like, we just want to respect one another. Like, we're giving you respect, you give us respect back. Please. Like, we're just all about being respectful to one another. And we want to keep this an open, respectful environment before this becomes a closed meeting. So please keep that in mind as we do move forward. And right now, if you don't have your placard up, you are not going to be able to say anything. So if you have anything last to say, please put up your placard, or else I'm limiting the speakers list to this issue because we do have more to talk about. I'm not even seeking emotion, I'm just telling you how it is. Thank you. Senator Zelmer.
Have you already spoken with the foundation board about your requests?
Yes, so we've been in limited contact with the foundation board, and we've made numerous requests to do this behind the board in terms of, or sorry, under the table. Could you just tell us? Their answer has been no repeatedly. And so they've told us we can't tell you the specifics. It's against our fiduciary interests. We are coming now with the most basic request we can ask. Have you spent money on these companies, yes or no? So we are here not because we like to be, but because we have to. And we're asking your support as senators to help us pass this resolution and make some progress.
Senator Hillstead?
You have talked about this as a morality issue amongst our table here, and I think I have a morality question for you. If we were to support this via it, and we would be at risk of lack of funding, if that lack of funding were to hit, some of your classes might be cut, some of your peers' classes might be cut, all the other classes might be cut. What are your thoughts on classes being cut for people who are so passionate about their own major?
As a person in the humanities, classes being cut is nothing new to me. We already, the university, whether or not they take into account our moral considerations, are already defunding the humanities. So you cannot hurt me any more than Edward Inch has.
I would also like to add that we've had multiple people from the university, both in student government and administration, make their sentiments to us that federal funding from the national government is not the majority source of income for the university. The university gets significantly more from the state governments and also from tuition, and most importantly from investments made by the foundation board. So if you were worried about divestment from the national government into our institution, I have had confirmation from people in your position saying that that is not the majority of where our funding comes from, and we are not at risk of significantly losing funding if the federal government were to cut us off. And this was made in remarks to DEI back in the beginning of Trump's term, where he said that universities who do not comply with removing DEI initiatives would be losing federal funding. And if you weren't worried then, why are you worried now? Thank you.
Senator Ide?
I'd just like to ask a quick point of clarification before I ask. Do you have a number on how much, you said it's not a significant part or a major part of our funding from the federal government. Do you have like a number on that, like 10, 20?
I was not given a number. I was just told that it's not a significant part. So that's just all the information I was given.
Okay, so as a residential life student center, I support everybody that lives in the residence halls, and many different people in the residence halls have many different majors. And you said yourself that you are not used to, or you are not foreign to the idea of humanity classes getting cut. But I believe that if we were to get cut federal funding, that is still money that we get in general. And we would have to cut many more classes. If you say that humanities is proverbially first on the chopping block, then I think that much more would happen to humanities, and could be possible that it could get cut altogether. But furthermore, I would just like to kind of mirror much of what Senator Hillstead said. I think if we're going to pose this as a moral question, should we not take into the morals that many students that go here would not only get their majors possibly cut, but possible programs? We don't know if a lot of these, say, this is just an example, I don't know if this would happen, but say we don't know if the CUNY International Center, we don't know if the food pantry, which supports 800 students a week, we don't know if all these different programs that many students rely on to not just go here, but to be successful would get cut. So I don't think it's fair to try and say, you don't have the morals because you don't want to not go to these companies. I think that's blatantly just unfair and untrue. It's more the fact that we don't want to have all students impacted by this one action. I think it'd be fair to say that it would put a lot of departments and a lot of majors in ruin or in turmoil because of that. That's all I have to say.
The reason that the Trump administration is taking steps against Columbia University is not because they have chosen to divest from the genocide. It's because students on their campus have chosen to ask that they divest from the genocide. So you're posing this is a weird hypothetical, because there are already students on your campus who are asking that you divest from the genocide. If Trump takes interest in this situation at all, and he decides that it's worth reviewing federal funding, he's simply going to do it, whether or not you like it. I'm asking that we take action because if the Trump administration decides that they don't like the speech on campus, you are ultimately powerless to stop any of it. And if you want to stop the Trump administration from considering divesting, or rather diverting federal funding to this university because of the things we say, you're going to have to ask us to stop saying them. And we won't do that.
Okay, so one quick thing, I didn't get the
If not, I can.
just for sake of time. Yeah. And then lastly, Senator Livingston.
Thank you. Please know I do sympathize with your cause. You guys are coming here in right faith. You guys are advocating for an issue and a lot of students don't. You guys are outward looking. You look towards the world and seeing all of our societal issues. I really appreciate that, but it has some concerns. I'd really tread lightly calling out an individual senator saying we put money over morals. After listening to this hearing, frankly, I think you're putting optics over efficacy. You wouldn't be putting if you actually took practical considerations into mind, you would realize how expensive it is to do an audit. You would take into account, and you can spend your time instead of going here, we make some paper trail, that's it, nothing happens. You'd actually spend your time calling your legislators, people who actually make decisions, and actually spend your time and put your voice there where it actually matters. You'd also take into consideration that you need to come to the table in good faith. If you're gonna call individual senators, I have no intention of supporting your legislation. I'll be actively against it. If you aren't gonna be good actors, good faith actors at the negotiating table, I frankly think it's disrespectful. I owe my time.
Can we like have a break or something, cause this is not doing well, like this isn't de-escalating.
Yeah, we can have,
I'd like to respond.
we are going to take a 6-minute recess and return at 5.
This is, okay, look,
Recess is going.
You respond at least, you ask the questions.
This is a statement. If you're going to be disrespectful to our Senate, I will have to ask you to leave.
Everyone's key and peel.
I can explain this to you later. How about that?
Yeah, I didn't even see you were here. I was thinking, I was like, damn, you still using the excuse?
I don't know how to voice that out without.
Students coming here, it's not like it's just one facet that it's the rules covering that. It's a chain reaction to everything else, you know.
Do you see our
He's a mask on.
Oh,
So media affairs like I told you.
We gotta go. Hold on, what? Let me finish this and I'll.
I'm not sure that's going to happen. Well, you got a point there. Oh, okay, well, there you are, okay, I didn't see it, sorry.
Yes, and
Love them.
Yeah, disrespect, I mean, they disrespect the pin by saying you don't have morals, like what the fuck are you doing? What do you mean, you don't have morals? The reason why we're on this board is because you have your morality takes that's what we this now. Yeah, it's one thing I'm doing a sustainability piece, which is great.
That was worst case. I mean,
Sounds pretty solid.
yeah, he said text that.
Thank you guys for your time.
Sponsors, and I'm just saying, I was telling them, each penny is $3,000. So if you guys have to starts to go south,
No, don't be sorry, I'm just telling you how I think it goes. I think it is. Not telling you how you should. I know it's like, it's 5.3 is her.
Okay.
It's okay. So thank you, appreciate it. I think that the. Oh, yeah.
I get it. How's it going? All right, how are you? Stick with it. You have to knock off pennies. Which is pretty nice.
Needs to. Thoughts like you gotta do it now, or? I was just trying to read the room. Yeah, sorry about that.
I've all summer that way. $100,000 or $10,000 set aside for sustainability. Botanical gardens or something. They're gonna say, okay, fine, knock it down.
Do it or not. So we've decided.
We never had it, so.
Thank you so much.
There's only one, that's a botanical garden. I think we should. And then
They came to let her down on Friday. Keep seeing her. She's having a great day. Did you see the
I just said we took some of our comments on the draft. Yeah.
No, nobody's, we're
the question was, why did you?
You know what we do with the VDI? Woody was a very we purposely made it broad. Specifically for the fact that it is already.
Yeah.
My big thing was their ad statement, and they did it.
Yeah. I told her.
Send me that email. I'm trying to get the watermarks over to them. I have a person making me a poster, so paying her $20 to $30 for it.
You have to want the resolution. Because the first and second has been.
Who do you have making a poster?
A marketing major.
I need to.
So marketing major can make it look pretty.
Temporary.
And make me look pretty.
I need to make a poster for myself too. Where do we take it to the CSC to get them put up?
We take it to any exact standard, right? The poster.
Andrew, could you send me, when we have time, could you send me your poster?
No.
Appreciate
I liked how yours was sort of just like a picture of the Penn State logo and then the like visibility thing on the next of it. I was like, I was gonna do that way, but then I was like, I saw the other posters of the senators and I was like, that looks so silly.
It really does, like it just.
The little
it's-
bottom part.
Yeah, it's a really good person, like I have a really good person that did it, and like.
Alrighty, we are back in order at 5:03. And I will let our guests give his closing remarks before we move on. But just so everybody does know, since we were in a little escalated of a situation, if moments like that happens again, I'm not afraid to call people out of order and ask you to leave the room. And this goes for both senators and our gallery members. But you may give your closing remarks, Cole.
Alright, so the one thing I want to emphasize is it is by no means a paper trail to understand where your university is putting its money and to ask them to put it elsewhere. We are not asking the university to divest its money. Right now, we are asking the university to, either through an audit in the past or an audit to be made in the future, disclose whether or not this list of companies has been invested to at all. We are simply asking for confirmation. And we are here because every other avenue of legislative decision-making that we have exhausted, we've talked to senators, we've gone to State Board of Investment meetings. I basically have Luke Frederick on speed dial at this point. We are here because this is the most localized avenue of change that we can make use of. So the principle of these resolutions stands. Where I think we can get behind each other a lot more is on the non-compliance resolution. This is simply asking for the university to put in terms that it is not going to cooperate with an ICE investigation without a warrant, and as well use information campaigns to deter ICE from breaking people's Fourth and Fifth Amendments. That is the non-compliance resolution. And we've already gone over the terms of the ethical disclosure resolution. I just want to reiterate that it is not a huge ask to ask of the university and its financial institutions to figure out where their money has been going. If they could not do it, the IRS would have sued them into oblivion at this point in time. So I have these two resolutions. I'm going to come back next week and we're going to try and see if we can't get them onto new business. I'm going to need two supporters, two people who will second this resolution. I'm not going to ask for hands, but I will ask that you reach out to me on email, cole.coots@mnsu.edu, or I'm sure there's only like one or two Coles here. Just type in Cole and then K and look for the weird Dutch last one, and you'll find me there. That is all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you.
Yes.
President Nurala.
I motion that we move new business and old business right after Dean of the Day.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, already. Any dissent to that motion? All right, seeing none, we are moving new business and old business right after Dean of the Day. Is there any other people here for open forum? Yeah, Brian.
Good evening, Brian Schneider, IT Solutions. I have to explain the sunglasses. It's not that I'm trying to be creepy or cool. I was walking the dog the other day and she hates trailers. And a trailer went by and she took off running and I went flying and I face planted right into the street. And I'm okay. The dog is safe. I'm fine. But I look really, really, really bad. So I was sparing you the gory details. My computer, I can't even get in my computer because it doesn't recognize me right now. But everything is good. But what I wanted to bring to your attention is we did a major upgrade along with University Communication of the website today. And if you haven't noticed it, it really is updated. The last time we did a big update like this was 13 years ago. So it really is a really nice, fresh design. It was made by University Communications, and it's intended to be more of a marketing site to look at prospective students and really clean it up so that you can find the things that you're looking for that'll help you through your journey here. So it's not the first iteration of that. There are going to be some other phases that are coming up. The next one is going to be around the 1st of May. And then about every other month after that, there's going to be a new iteration of it. They're going to be going deeper and deeper into the site. Now, this site is massive because it's been around so long. So a lot of things broke today during some of the searching, some of the redirects are broken, and we're trying to fix those as quickly as possible. But if you notice anything that's not right or broken, or you're getting page errors, at the bottom of the website, there's a link that says website feedback. And if you could put as many details as you could of what you're looking for, what's broken, where should it go, if you can find that, and then we'll try to get that fixed as quickly as possible. So we're in the middle of construction season. We should have had cones up all over the place, but we are trying to get things fixed and improved as quickly as possible. So that's all I have for today, but I'll stand for questions.
Are there any questions? Senator Colleran?
Thank you for your time. Could you point us to where the student government, what portion of the website would be? Like, could you point us to where the student government portion of the website would be on the student Cato?
It'll be in the same place. It's just that if you go searching for student government, you may get a page error, but you will see it a little bit further down the list. But we're going to get that all corrected so that you don't get page errors anymore.
Any other questions?
I'll yield.
We'll yield to John.
For those of you unaware, student government bought several years ago the domain name avoiceforstudents.com. If you want to go directly to the student government website, you can type in avoiceforstudents.com and it will land you on that student government website.
It will take a little bit longer for all the search engines to update all their links as well, because they crawl the websites and update those on a periodic basis. So as we fix things, Google will start fixing itself as well.
Great, I don't see any other questions, but thank you for that update, Brian.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here for open forum? Great, seeing none, we shall move on to Dean of the Day, my little HLC buddy, Dr. Jennifer Veltzos, who's the Assistant Provost for Accreditation, Assessment, and Curriculum Innovation, and what it says on the website is too long to fit on her name tag.
It really is. My name tag doesn't use all of that.
Yeah.
Hello, thank you very much for letting me speak with you today. It's been a while since I've joined the student government, and I'm sorry that I've missed your meetings. I forget how much fun it can be to watch you all have these great conversations and grapple with the issues of the day. So thank you for doing this work on behalf of the students and on behalf of the university. I've got 5 sort of announcements or updates, and at least one of them is a request for your help. So first, I spent the whole day today in a transfer summit. Minnesota State Mankato hosted Riverland Community College and South Central College here on campus, and we've spent the entire day talking about transfer issues. Sometimes specifically between the institutions, but more often on sort of like a bigger scale within the system, and how we can do better to improve the student experience when they're transferring in. You probably have heard people talk about the work we've been doing with course equivalencies, and I can say that one of your senators helped us out with that quite a bit by locating Common Course outlines. Over the past couple of years, we have created more than 2,000 new course equivalencies. And that means that a student can come in and that course just counts right away as if it were a local course. It fulfills prerequisites, program requirements, gen ed, whatever it might be. So that's been a lot of work, and we continue to build that out. We have created equivalencies for all of the transfer pathways, most of the general education curriculum, many of our top like the programs that are most popular with transfer students, and then we'll pretty much do bulk requests for anyone who asks. And then students themselves can make requests to registration and academic records, and they'll set up the equivalency request for you, and it'll go to the department who'll take a look at it. We also got some information about the new general education curriculum. So you might have heard that we've been working on a revision of that. The current Minnesota transfer curriculum is 30 years old. So a system-wide committee has spent the past couple of years just starting from ground zero and just trying to figure out, what do we want it to do? What do we want it to look like? How would it function? And so yesterday, the working group just posted a video about what the changes will be. So some of it looks more superficial than it is. I just want to kind of acknowledge that outright. So it's, first of all, it's not going to be called the Minnesota Transfer Curriculum. It would be called Foundational Studies. It would consist of 9 core domains, which are, that's the part, it looks very similar to the goals. But 9 core domains. There wouldn't be any more of the double dipping, but courses would only be in one of the domains. There would be 2 embedded domains, so critical thinking and information literacy would have to be woven into the courses in those 9 domains. And then, this is the part that excites me the most, is there would be an exploratory section. So in that exploratory, there's 8 different domains, and you would get to choose 3 courses from any of those domains. And there's things like life skills and human creative activity and world languages, and there's lots of stuff to be excited about. So it'll be a few years. I think you will all be graduated by the time this goes into effect. But I'm really excited about the work that's happening there with the Gen Ed redesign. But we also talked about on-site student support at the community colleges, the use of transfer guides to help students figure out what's going to count from there as they come here. And there's a lot more developments to come to improve transfer. Next week is Graduate Student Appreciation Week. Do I have any grad students in the room right now? I appreciate you. And I really mean that because I'm the former dean of grad studies. So I do think that grad students, you get often overlooked, don't you? We talk about undergrads a lot. But grad students, you are here by choice to go deeper into areas of study that interest you. And it's hard work. So thank you for being here. Next week, there will be some messaging from Graduate Studies. I encourage any of the members of the student government to take a photograph of yourself with a message talking about what you appreciate about graduate students and send it to grad@mnsu.edu. I've already done it. I welcome you to do the same. Last night was the Douglas R. Moore Faculty Lectureship, and Dr. Mika Laidlaw was recognized for her creative activity. There is an exhibit of her work in the gallery in the lower level of the CSU. And so I encourage you to go take a look at that. This is an annual award where we recognize the great things that our faculty are doing in research, scholarship, and creative activity. You might have heard about the portfolio evaluation that Academic Affairs has been working on this year. So we have been working to try to kind of manage all of the stuff in our academic portfolio. There were, at the beginning of the year, 313 different programs in our portfolio. And that's a lot. It creates decision paralysis for students, but it's also just a lot of work to maintain all of those curriculum proposals, for the advisors to keep track of all of that and to be able to help students with the program requirements, for admissions to be able to direct students into their areas of interest. So we started with 3 principles, and they have guided our work all year long. The first is to ensure the representation of disciplinary diversity in programs, courses, or faculty expertise. The second is to support a financially healthy institution. And the third is to meet the interests of students and the needs of employers now and in the future. So we've been doing a lot of work looking at programs, looking at student enrollment, student completion, equity gaps, things like that. And last Monday, we presented to the faculty curriculum committees, and your Senator Dietrich was there as well, so she got a preview. We presented 3 models of what the future of the portfolio might look like. And so I would say there's kind of a best case scenario, a most likely scenario, and maybe a worst case scenario in there. We're going to be presenting them at the Meet and Confers tomorrow as well. We have asked the Faculty Association to give us feedback by April 17th, and then the final model will be presented at Meet and Confer on May 1. While this is happening, you're going to hear about programs being suspended. You might have noticed at the beginning, I said at the beginning of the year we had 313 programs. Faculty have already suspended 30 programs this year, about 30 programs this year. Many of them had no students enrolled whatsoever. Many of them, they were already planning to do changes or replace them with other programs. This is just the normal curriculum work. We're just kind of speeding it up this year. But you, even if you're in one of these programs that might be on the list on May 1, I want to reassure you that you will get to finish your degree. What we're doing is we are going to suspend the program to new admissions. We will look at all of the students who are enrolled in those programs and create teach-out plans to make sure that you get to finish that degree. So new students won't come in to them, but everyone who's in it will be able to finish. Meanwhile, the faculty are already coming up with ideas for mergers of existing programs, combinations, and new ideas. So we will continue growing new programs in the future. I have one more thing, but I'm happy to close on that. So President Narala.
You can finish.
It's my big finish, come on.
Yeah, you big finish.
All right. The last thing is the HLC comprehensive review. I've been here before to talk about that. You have been an essential part of this. Your speaker has been on the committee. So we have completed our assurance argument, an entire draft. I am now revising it, tidying it up. I think some of you might know I'm a technical writer, so kind of editing and cleaning up the language. But what we're getting ready for now is the student opinion survey. So you're going to get an email from the Office of the Provost on April 7th with a link to an anonymous online survey. And I'm kidding you not, it's going to take you 5 minutes. Every student's getting a copy of this email, and then you're probably also going to get that message in a variety of other ways. For example, we've got a poster at the end of the hall and in other buildings. Please encourage everyone you know to complete this survey because this is a mandatory part of our comprehensive review. The results go straight to HLC. They don't come here. HLC will review them, condense them into a report, and then share that with our peer reviewers and then with President Inch. So please encourage people to take 5 minutes to fill out that survey when the email goes out next week. So that's my comments, and I'm happy to take any questions.
For the sake of time, I'll ask it to tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Any questions? Senator Isaac.
Further question, I wanted to do a quick comment to back on the exposition that Dr. Mikaledno has in the CSU. You should really see it. It's a really, really good exposition. Actually, I wrote an article about that for the reporter some weeks ago. She has an incredibly interesting story, and the exposition is called A Migrant by Choice. It's a really good thing to read and to see nowadays. That was my comment.
Thank you.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Alrighty, moving on, we are going to new business. That's correct because we amended the agenda. So first thing on new business, I guess this should have been old business because we're voting on these 4 fees today because we need to wrap up our budget stuff. So the first one is the technology fee recommendation. I did send you all the tech fee presentation. again, just as a reminder of what was presented. So they are currently at $13 a credit, right? Yeah, $13 a credit. Their proposal is $13 a credit, so it's a 0% increase. So that's just the topic on hand right now. Brian, do you have any comments you'd like to make? If none, that's okay. No, already, that was no. President Narala?
I make a motion to approve technology fee recommendations, $13 a credit hour.
Second, is there any dissent to approve the technology fee $13 per credit? Alrighty, seeing no dissent, alrighty, we're just gonna do a show of hands for this vote because it's easy. And then people on Zoom, please message yes, no, or abstain for voting for the approval of the technology fee at $13 per credit, so a 0% increase. All those in favor, like raise your hand or your placard, whatever works. Alrighty, folks on Zoom. Any no's? There wasn't, because you all raised your hand. We're missing one. Can I 21 in here?
So we have what's
Oh, okay, then that'd be 20. Alrighty. Alrighty, so the official recommendation for student government passed 28-0-1 just because we have somebody who's absent. So we will be recommending a 0% increase to the technology fee, so it remains at the $13 per credit. Yay, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Alrighty, moving on to the next fee is the student health services fee recommendation. So currently they're sitting at $6.08 per credit. They're proposing a $6.23 per credit or a 2.41% increase. I will yield to Antonia if she has any comments. None? Alrighty. Seeing none. Is there any points of discussion or moving into a motion? President Narala?
I forgot to make a point of discussion, so I'll just take 10 seconds and do appreciate Technology Fee Committee and Brian for their presentation. It's just been a long day. And also to note the good work for Health Services and their committee's recommendation. I think they do an amazing task, and I think now more than ever we're recognizing the need of the resources that they provide for the community. With that being said, I make a motion to approve a 2.41% of an increase to student health services fees.
There's a second from Senator Hillstead. Is there any dissent to the motion? Alrighty, seeing no dissent, we will just go straight into voting. All those in favor of proposing the 2.41% to health services? Okay, that's 21 people. Is that up? Okay. Alrighty. Any opposed? And then people on Zoom vote for student health services now. Alrighty, and the final vote count, including Zoom, you have all approved at a 28-0-1 approval of the 2.41% increase to student health services fee. Alrighty, moving on, we have the sustainability fee recommendation. So currently the sustainability fee is sitting at $1.44 per credit. They would like to propose the $1.66 per credit. So that is a 22-cent increase or a 14.19% increase. Sorry, we're working with really small numbers, so it's gonna sound really big. So it's just a 22-cent increase from 144 to 166. I will open the floor up. Senator Ide,
To move into voting?
there's not a motion on the table. President Narella.
I think the sustainability fee does an amazing job of supporting not just our students, but also our faculty and staff. It does an amazing job of subsidizing the free buses for our full-time staff and faculty. But we do want to continue the support that we provide. I think the committee did an amazing task of working not just with the university, but also with the city of Mankato as they invited them over and had conversations with them on how they can expand support for our students, not just over the academic year, but also over summertime. And I definitely feel confident endorsing a 14.19% of an increase. With that, I make a motion for a 14.19% increase of the sustainability fee recommendation.
Taking the second from Senator Thapa. Is there any dissent to the motion? Alrighty, seeing none. If you want.
Motion to call to question.
The motion's been called. Second, any dissent to voting? Great, I didn't think so. Alrighty, so same process, so the motion on the table that you're voting on is to approve the 14.19% increase or the 22%, or the 22-cent increase, not percent. All those in favor, please raise your placard or your hand. That is everyone, alrighty. Any no's? And then people on Zoom, please vote for sustainability now. Alrighty, Zoom votes have been sent in. Student government is going to be officially recommending the 14.19% increase or the 22-cent increase to the sustainability fee by the passing of 28 to 0 to 1. Yay! Easy peasy. Alrighty, and now moving on to the student union fee. So the student union board is currently, or the student union fee is currently sitting at $10.43 per credit. They are asking for $10.84 per credit, oh my gosh, or a 3.9% increase. Is there any discussion points on this fee recommendation? President Naralla.
Just waiting to see if there's anyone else. Seeing none, I think the student union has been an amazing partner to work with. I know we haven't, and I still remember the $5,000, so I'll definitely talk about that with the 93rd student government. But I think the student union does an amazing job of supporting our students. You can tell it is the most pretty building on the prettiest building on campus. And it also supports a lot of different programming. I was attending the Upper Midwest Honors Conference last weekend, and we'd hosted a bunch of schools from across Midwest down over at Bullpen, and they were really impressed with the facilities that we have. So I got to flaunt a little bit about the facilities that we have over at the student union. And I definitely do appreciate the due diligence of the fee recommendation committee. With that being said, I would make a motion to endorse a 3.9% increase for the student union fee.
Let me have a second I'm gonna let Senator Reyes have a second. Is there any dissent to that motion?
Was that what they were asking for?
Yes. Any dissent? Already seeing none, I'll just go to vote on the motion. So all those in favor of the 3.9% increase in student union, fee, please raise your hand or your placard. Sweet, you can put it all down. People on Zoom also vote. I don't need to ask for any no's because nobody voted no in this room. People on Zoom, please vote for CSU fee. Alrighty, that is the Zoom stuff, so, okay, perfect. The recommendation for the student union fee has been approved, with the 28-0-1 vote. So they will see an increase of 3.9% in that fee. Alrighty, before we move on, President Narala.
Oops, we've just completed voting on all of the student fees for the 96 good job, y'all. We've done a lot of work over the last couple of weeks. I know it's been really extensive work. I've been really proud of all of the work that you've done. I've been really proud of the work that all of our fee recommendation committees have done. And I really do wanna thank all of you for all of the support that you've provided. With that, I definitely do wanna yield it over to John to learn more about the overall increases that we all just agreed to. Let's see what we got ourselves into.
Thank you, President Morano. And congratulations, Matt, you made it through one of the toughest parts of the season. I've been watching and keeping track of all of the changes that you've been making. For all of the student fees that you all vote on, you have recommended an increase of $1.67 per credit hour, or an increase of $20.04 for a banded rate. So the per credit hour rate will go from $49.67 to $51.34, and the band will go from $596.08 to $616.12, and that's based on the current banding structure. We know that the banding structure has potential to change over the next couple of months. So that is based on the current banding structure. So your total increase is about 3.4%. But when we look at the fact that Students United is not changing their fee structure for the year, it's a cumulative 3.3% increase. So not all things considered, not a terrible increase at all. So congratulations. I'm going to comment, if I can, real quick, just on the voting requirements that are coming up in the election. The fee referendums, we discovered that there's been a discrepancy over the past couple of years in terms of how that's been interpreted. The vote turnout needed for a fee referendum is half of the number of people who voted in the last spring election. The last spring election had 1,099 voters, meaning that you need about 551 voters for the fees. That being said, you also have constitutional changes that are going to show up on the ballot. Those require 10% of the non-extended student population. That number is 9,531. So that being said, the voting turnout goal for this election, in order to consider everything on the ballot, is at least 954 students. Okay, so that's kind of where we're sitting. And so while we encourage you to talk to all of those students who you know are impacted by the fees to go out and vote. And also, in order to have your constitutional amendments considered, you'll want to get people out to vote as well. So again, 954 is your goal for voter turnout, at least in this election.
Yeah, President Narala.
How much is that 3.3% into dollar amount?
$20.04 for the band. So total increase, $1.67 a credit hour, $20.04 for the band.
Semester or year?
Per semester. Yes.
I know John mentioned the total vote requirements are 551 and 954, but let's aim at double of that amount. So why don't we go out and campaign a lot and make sure that folks go ahead and vote on the fee recommendations that this Senate made? How about that? Awesome, thank you guys.
Alrighty, continuing on in our new business, we do have the proposed amendment to constitutional bylaws. So we're talking about the bylaws, which just needs to be approved internally. And then I'm going to ask one of our Constitution Commission members to come up to kind of talk about that. If you'd like, yes, please come talk about the proposed amendment. You all got the resolution, in your email, it's also in Teams, so I'm going to give the floor.
Is it changes to the bylaws or the changes to the amendments? Like the
The,
third
whatever document that David gave me, it's the one with the number of seats,
one? Yeah, okay.
that document.
So basically the change was to reduce the amount of seats in the committee as one of the prevailing talks that we had with the commission, that there's just too many people in those seats and like cutting them won't reduce, well, we are reducing numbers.
Yeah, reduction in the seats.
Yeah, reduction in the seats as it's too much currently and there's not enough people to fill those seats. This will help out the upcoming presidents as it's just a number of 16 seats being trimmed and it doesn't reduce the voices in those seats currently.
President Rall?
Thank you so much for our representative, and I do wanna thank you for the work that you've done in terms of reviewing 3 of our constitutional amendments. I do wanna thank you for coming up to our open forum earlier today and then sharing about the rationale of the commission's endorsement of constitutional amendments. With that being said, I do wanna take it over from here as will be Vice President Jay and I will be officially endorsing this resolution to amend the constitutional bylaws. Folks, with the amendment to the constitutional bylaws, if you look at the document, essentially we're looking at reducing the total number of seats that are allocated for a president to appoint for different committees, commissions, and boards. Newsflash, there's about 200 different appointments that we get to make, and by the second month, it gets so overwhelming that it's really difficult to keep track. With every new search, there's a new student that's needed on different committees, and then now you're prioritizing. And when there's midterm by week 8, students don't wanna do committee work anymore. And so I think what the Constitution Commission is proposing is a fair balance in between reducing the total number of appointments so that there aren't a lot of appointments that we have to worry about to fill up, but also ensuring that we're not restricting representation by stripping away entire committees as a whole. And so with that being said, the student government leadership would formally endorse the proposed amendment to constitutional bylaws, and I ask the speaker to open it up to any questions or comments.
Perfect. Any questions or comments about this bylaw proposal? Senator Hillstead?
Motion to call to question.
We don't vote on this
No,
week.
not yet. Okay.
No. We can vote on it next week.
Okay.
Yes. Senator Papa?
Does that mean that the two remaining seats in sustainability fee will be removed as well?
Correct. With the rationale, and let me check which ones. Correct, we would be reducing the Sustainability Fee Advisory Committee's total number of appointments by 2, and what I would also say is that you are open to propose amendments to this resolution in the next week. So if you go ahead and check our bylaws and you identify that there are additional committees that we can trim, or there are appointments that you would really like to protect with a rationale, that's definitely something that we can consider over the week. We do not have to decide on this right away this week, and we're really open to having that conversation. Does that answer your question?
I do wanna clarify, even if like seats are cut, that does not limit like students from attending these meetings. They just want to be voting members. So these seats are just for voting members, but students are still able to join as like a guest. So it's not limiting student impact, it's just like the seats don't normally get filled. They're really hard to fill all those seats. So if you can just get the average number filled every year, it just makes it more efficient. And then you can always bring guests to these meetings because these committees are and commissions are usually pretty open. Yes, Senator Kappa.
Is there a way we could also propose more cuts than what being recommended?
Yes, I would recommend you sit down with President Rall or Vice President Jay since they are the sponsors for this resolution now. Any other questions?
I would also appreciate if you take a look at this in your own time, and if you find those things out, just shoot us a text. We'd be more than happy to help with that.
Senator May.
Is there any document that shows the numbers that actually each committee have? Because this one shows the number of seats you reduce, like the actual numbers.
It would have to be within the bylaws. I don't see why we can't create a document that would pull those out. We can definitely work on that.
Yeah, since our lovely friend David Cowan made this document, we could probably ask David to create another column of how many current seats are available for all these committees and then show the total reduction if our lovely friend David Cowan would take his time to do that since he prepared this document. And yeah, President Nurala?
I believe you've been a great advisor for Constitution Commission, so would you be willing to help us out on that?
Yes. Just to add to what was already said, at the very bottom of the proposal, you're going to see a couple of sentences about alternates. So let's say that a committee, standing committee that's in the bylaws has been totally filled, but there's energy for whatever reason, and you have one or two more people that really want to get on that committee. The alternative is to make them an alternate, and then they can show up. And if the regular members of the committee, the student members of the committee don't show up, the alternate can sit in their place and vote. So it's not like you're denying a voice. So this system of an alternate is very similar to the proxy thing that the student senators around the table are used to. Should be able to capture that enthusiasm, particularly if you've gone and already filled all the spaces. Some of us, by the way, advocated more cuts, but we were dumped on, and we did not get a chance to win that battle. So this is a pretty conservative approach, in my opinion. I'm just one member of the commission, so yes, I will help.
Thank you. Any other questions? Already seeing none, this resolution will be moved to old business for next week. Perfect, and then moving straight into old business, and then after old business, we will do our reports. First thing on old business, I also sent this one out again, is the Narcan availability resolution. I will yield to the first and second if they would like to speak on that. So Senator Zelmer and then President Nurral, if you have anything else to add.
Yeah, so I had kind of talked about this 2 weeks ago, but just as a little refresher, this acknowledges that Minnesota State University Mankato acknowledges that there's an opioid or overdose epidemic. And then also we want to take action against that, so requiring those doses in the res halls. And that would mirror the bill that has been proposed to the Minnesota Senate. I yield to President Nurral.
Like Senator Zelmer mentioned, the resolution mirrors what is being debated at the Senate floor, Minnesota Senate, and I believe there is a bill in the House as well. We're also mirroring what other state universities across the system have done. I believe we'd be the last ones to adopt this. However, the work that Senator Zelmer has done has been really amazing, and I definitely think we would probably be the first ones to get it into our residential halls and other academic buildings. But there's still a lot of work to do. I'd be more than happy to hear your thoughts on the resolutions. I would definitely recommend thoughts or questions on these resolutions.
Any points of discussion or questions? Senator Ide.
I'm just reading over the resolution and it's a little, I don't wanna say vague, cause I don't think it's vague, but like, it says in one line, be it resolved, student government requests the university maintain a supply of opiate antagonists and it be made available at different sites across campus, and then it talks about residence halls. Are these going to be like, say at the residence hall front desks? Just cause I could see an issue with like, say most people are gonna be, say if someone's on opioids and they have an issue and it's past 12 o'clock when the residence hall desks are closed, are they gonna be available like anywhere else in the res halls?
Will you to Senator Zelmer?
So the plan for that would be in the AED boxes available in the residence halls so that they're always available, and then along with first aid kits and an AED in that box.
Okay, that's what I was assuming, thank you.
Senator Isaac.
My question is only that I can find the document. Where can I?
I sent it out in the email, so it was one of the attachments in the email. And it's also in the Teams folder as well. Senator Hillstead.
I would like to voice my support for this resolution, and I think we all should pass it because in my constituency with residential life, overdoses are prevalent and need to be addressed in a quicker manner than our response rates currently. And having this Narcan access would allow regular old civilians to go into an AED box, get the Narcan and administer it to this overdosed victim and have a chance at saving a life. And I feel like saving a life would be a crucial key thing to implement on our university for quicker access of Narcan. And I'd like to voice my support, and whenever this gets called to question, I will encourage a yes vote.
Are there any other questions or thoughts on the resolution? Seeing none, Senator Hillstead,
Motion to call to question.
is there a second? Oh wait, is there a question on Zoom? Senator, sorry, 1 second, there's something on Zoom. Senator Smith says it is important that this bill passes. She has experienced this firsthand, and one of the best friend's life would have been saved if Narcan was available. So just a testament from another one of our senators. But the question has been called. Is there a second? So there's a second. Any dissent by Senator Livingston? Is there any dissent to the call to question? Alrighty, seeing none, so the motion on the table is to vote then on this resolution. So all those in favor, please raise your hands or your placards, and on Zoom, please vote yes or no or abstain. Alrighty, thank you everyone. Any no's, same motion, and any abstentions? Alrighty, just waiting on Zoom. Perfect. Alrighty, so this resolution has passed 28-0 to 1. Yay! Congratulations, everyone. Alrighty, so our second resolution under old business is the student wages resolution, authored by President Narala and seconded by Vice President Jay. So I will yield to President Narala, and I know VP Jay is on Zoom, so we'll just let President Narala comment on this resolution.
I think it's about time our students get fair wages. Thank you.
Alrighty, Vice President Jay, do you have anything to add? If not, that's okay.
Yield to the president.
Alrighty, perfect. So I'll open up the floor for any comments, discussion, questions first. Senator Ide.
I'd just like to voice my support for this. I know that a increase of $1 to the wage right now would massively benefit not only the students who are currently working, but also students who are looking for employment. One of the things I've heard a lot from like my friends or people that I've asked about like working at the school is the number one reason why they say no is because, man, why would I work for $12.50 an hour when I could go to McDonald's and work $15 an hour? Like it's, so when you have the biggest complaint is the cash involved, I think it's important to increase that money.
Senator Colleran?
I yield to Senator Ide. Like, I wholeheartedly support this resolution. Like, when it comes to compensation for students that's competitive with the cost of living, just as a student and as a person, I think it would be amazing to have a step in that direction by making it from minimum wage from $12.50 to $13.50. So I venture for y'all to support this resolution. I thank you for your time.
Senator Livingston?
Two-part question for this sponsor.
Yes.
How much of this strain is this on our budget, and is the possibility going to 13?
Absolutely.
President Narala, I will respond.
Let me work. Follow-up question, are you asking on the student fees?
Like, what pot of money is this coming from first?
Well, it would be coming from all the different areas that would support student wages.
That doesn't include student fees.
That would include student fees, correct?
Is there any pot of money that comes out of? I mean, is this general all undergrad or all student workers in the university?
Sure, I can send that information over to you.
Senator Zellmer?
Although I wish it was a higher increase, I definitely support this. And if you look it up, the livable wage in Minnesota is like around $18.50. So this needs to go up for our international students who are kind of locked down into working only for the campus. Thank you.
Senator Moore?
If there's nothing else that's like actually questions, I called a question.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. The question has been called. Is there any dissent to calling the question? Alrighty, seeing none. So right now the motion on the table is to approve this resolution to recommend an increase from $12.50 an hour to $13.50 an hour. So all those in favor, Zoom people vote yes, no. All those in favor in here, please raise your placard. Alrighty, any opposed? Alrighty, and on Zoom. Alrighty, so this resolution has passed 27 to 1 to 1. Yay, congratulations everyone. As you all know, this is like one recommendation to the university besides student pay. Just wanted to clarify that before we continue. President Narala.
So folks, what we'll do is we'll talk about these two resolutions with the university as a recommendation from student government tomorrow at Meet and Confer and on different university committees. What you've recommended could very well and should very well be what the final decision is. However, it is up to the president to make the final decision.
Thank you. So going back to our regularly scheduled program, we are going back to officer reports. So I will yield to President Narala.
Alrighty, it's been a crazy past couple of weeks, y'all, and wow, haven't done this in 2 weeks. So let's see what we were able to do over the last couple of weeks. Last week, we had a lot on our agenda with the fees. I've been talking with different student groups. I was able to share with them the Senate's recommendation on student fees and student activity fee and athletics fee. Last week I was also able to attend the city and university meeting. I was joined by Senator Karki, and we were able to highlight some of our two priorities that we've worked on over the year, which has been housing survey. So we were able to share results of the housing survey over to our city representatives and our partners from across the town. We were also able to share about pedestrian safety, and we were able to learn about some of the ways that we could go about addressing pedestrian safety outside of university jurisdiction. I've got some notes if you're interested. I know some of you have been working actively. Definitely reach out to me outside and I'll be more than happy to chat with you. Last week, we also hosted the honors conference. I was able to meet with the panel speaker, and I was able to attend a couple of different events. On Saturday, we did host a town hall where we had representatives from all across the aisle come in and talk with students. Since I was the computer science major in the room, I got to be like the little tech guy that made sure like the Zoom was in order and everything. But I did get to meet with the representatives and it was an amazing time with them. I'm definitely confident the guests that we hosted were able to ask informative questions over to our representatives at the town hall. Earlier this week, ISA President Date and I were able to attend a panel that was focused on Greater Minnesota region, and we talked with employers about the opportunity of hiring international students and expanding the international student opportunities across Minnesota. I didn't know we had more than 15,000 students studying at different institutions across Minnesota. I've also been able to meet with a couple of Dean of Student representatives over last week. And we've been all done with the student fee recommendations, so kudos to all of us. Tomorrow we'll be meeting with the president's cabinet for meet and confer. On Friday, we're meeting with ISG, which is planning the South Side campus redevelopment that President Inch talked about. I've sent a calendar invite to about 10, 12 of you, and I'm gonna cancel this invite and I'm gonna send another invite to every one of you who accepted the invite, because I just heard back and there might not be enough seats for everyone that I invited. So those of you who accepted, I'll just make sure that you're included on the information that was sent over. Let's see. I do wanna echo what President Inch mentioned about the international student who has been detained. We've been working with the family over the last couple of days, and I know it's stressful, but definitely take care of yourselves, take care of your friends. Please check in on them and see how they're doing. I will echo what I've shared over the last couple of days. If you or anyone you know information, out of the respect for the family, please keep it confidential, as the family at this point does not want information being shared out. I know Students United has made a statement. I know International Student Association has made a statement, and we've signed off on both of those statements that both of these organizations that have been affiliated with student government have made. We've officially not made a statement. We're still waiting on a couple of different elements that are at play, as President Inch mentioned. There's a lot of different things that are at play, and we're still waiting on a couple of different results before we make our official statement. However, with that being said, I'll see if there are any questions for me before I move into Vice President Jay's report.
Any questions?
Or any questions over Sue?
Already seeing none, Vice President Jay sent her report to President Narala, so I will give to President Narala again for her report.
Hello senators, election and voting season is here. We've had a very successful open forum this afternoon, and thank you for everyone who attended. The Elections Commission needs tabling, and I believe all of the tabling materials will be stored in Vice President Jay's office. It will be a poster board already created, which needs to be set up on the table, tabling location with a tablecloth. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to either of us, and we'll be more than happy to guide you through what we wanna do with the tabling. Speaker Youngberg will be sharing the paper for sign up, and multiple people can sign up per box that you see highlighted. Tabling is only for people to go out and vote. Candidates are not, Vice President Jay says not encouraged. I'm saying if you're a candidate, you will not be campaigning on your behalf if you're tabling. For student government, you will only be asking students to go out and vote. The students are able to go to the QR code and scan, students can vote. All they need is their star ID and login information. We do not store or share any of this data. It is just to ensure that students are voting. Please go out and vote. Voting opens 8 AM Monday, April 7th, and it will be open all the way till Tuesday, April 8th at 6 PM. The Election Commission hopes to have results out by 7 PM Tuesday night. And I'll tell you a little tradition. We have a little tradition of sitting right outside student government office. It's because the Election Commission does their little ritual of kicking all of us out who are not on the commission. And so even we're kicked out of our offices. So we're just sitting behind the glass pane waiting for them to finish counting ballots. So if you guys do wanna stop by right outside the office next to the Multicultural Center, feel free to do so next week on Tuesday. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the Elections Commissioner. And as a last note, I know with all that has been happening in our community, the last few days has been much of turmoil and fear. If you need help, please reach out to friends that you know. The cabinet is here to listen and be there for you in any way that we can. We care about you a lot, and please continue to respect the situation. A lot of information has been circulating around, but be cognizant of what you're sharing and saying to others and yourself. There are individual lives that are being affected with the events that are going around, and let's continue to be good humans. Now, I'll take questions on Vice President Jay's behalf.
Alright, seeing none, we'll move into my report. So, the first thing that got brought up to my attention by multiple people, and even when I was going through office hours, which as a friendly reminder, like almost none of you have put in any office hours for the semester. Remember, your office hours do count towards senator pay, so if you do want any chance of getting a slightest payment amount by the end of the semester, you should probably fill those office hours out. Thank you. But if you are running in the student government election as either like a candidate or for any of the spots, you cannot count those tabling hours as office hours because that is completely separate from student government. So if you are counting like your candidacy tabling as office hours, that's a big no-no. So just so you know, no, cannot do that. But you can count the tabling sign-up sheet that I just sent around as office hours because that is just promoting people to vote in the student government election next week. So 2 different things, please make sure that you keep them separate if you are a part of either version of this. Alrighty, capiche, kaposh, kaboom. Perfect. Alrighty. Next thing up is the bowling next week, which is happening on April 9th. could be doing better things to celebrate that day, but it's fine. I do have a sign up sheet. Sorry, it's my B-Day, so that's why I said that. Low-key side comment, sorry. I do have a sign up sheet for bowling just because we do need to get final numbers to Marla over with Student Affairs or the President's Office. I can't keep people straight anymore. So if you are going to come and help participate in bowling, and people on Zoom, please message me if you are coming for bowling. Just send me a Teams message so I can add you to the list. I will send this around. I already put myself and Roshit down, so you can all just join this, so then we can also, hopefully get best 2 out of 3 of the 3 competitions. So, heck yeah. I'm going to send this around, so please sign up if you're interested. I think there's going to be food or refreshments offered. The bowling is right after a student government meeting, so we will legit have a hard deadline at 5 p.m. Next week to go down to Maverick Bullpen for bowling. So 5 p.m. next Wednesday, April 9th, right after the student government meeting. Already sent this sign-up sheet around for tabling, so that's just like spreading the word about the upcoming election, encouraging students just to vote, mainly voting for fees, constitutional amendments, because those are super important, and then whoever they want to sit in this room next year. And then President Narala already talked about city and university meeting, and then we've mentioned multiple times that we have meet and convert tomorrow. So with that, I stand for any comments or questions. Senator Ide?
With the hard deadline being 5 o'clock next Friday or next Wednesday, does that mean essentially like anything that was on the docket to be talked about would get pushed into just like the full business for the next week?
No. So if it's like on the docket for new business next week, that does not and we don't get to it, that does not automatically make it old business for the week after.
No, I just mean like, say if we're voting on a resolution and we're not done with like voting on it. And like, would we just get it pushed to next week or like
Yeah,
that?
everything would just be tabled to the following meeting.
Okay.
Like we've done with past meetings. So if we don't get to it, then it'll be tabled to the following week.
Sounds good.
We have like 2 meetings left, by the way, folks, so just keep that in mind. President Narala.
It's not a question.
Oh,
Unless
say
there's
whatever you
any other
want. Any other questions? But I will send President, Senator Isaac.
I have an announcement rather than a question.
Oh, we're not to the announcements yet.
Like Speaker Youngberg mentioned, we're only 2 meetings away, only 2 meetings away from the end of our meeting. What I want you to do is write it down or mention it on your calendars. April 9th, the Elections Commission is going to come in to the student government meeting to announce the election results for the 93rd student government. April 16th is the last meeting, and it shall also be the inauguration of the 93rd student government, right? April 23rd is the first meeting of the 93rd student government. It shall also be the election of the speaker for the 93rd student government. We'll be making announcements for speaker vacancy starting next week, so it follows the 2-week reading process. The other thing that I want you guys to write down is April 30th, which is the 3 of our retirement party, which will be the end of year banquet. We'll be sending out invites over to all of you, even to our friends at the gallery who have stuck around with us over the long tenuous meetings. But we cordially invite all of you to come in and attend the end of year banquet, aka our retirement party. With that being said, because we only have 2 weeks, if there is any new piece of business that you would like to bring to the table, next week would be ideal, advised, because we do not want to be rushing things down by expediting things at the end meeting of the year. I also want to highlight, by Friday, hopefully, Vice President N will send us a video about tuition changes and banding changes, so that way you'll have a homework over the weekend to watch that video. What we want you to do is we want you to come up with questions, so when Anne is here at the Senate meeting, we'll spend most of the time answering those questions and providing more context instead of spending time doing a presentation. So that's your homework. For your friends here at the table who are not here, we'll definitely send out a message, but if you see them, let them know. We'll send out a message over on Teams and an email once that video has been uploaded. We'll also share a Word document. We wanna make sure that Anne gets the questions ahead of time, so that way she's able to better answer all of the questions that you have. And so I'd definitely appreciate it if you would be kind enough to look at it over the weekend, include your questions so we can send it over to her office on Monday. Any questions? I feel like I covered it.
Perfect, alrighty. So that is all of our reports. I do think one of the sign up sheets is still making their way around, so that's great. Moving on to Senator reports, we have Senator Ponthy.
Just gonna keep it short. Last time Dean Bach was here, he had mentioned about the Research Day Symposium for the College of Business. Prior to this year, students were not participating, presenting their findings. But this year, there would be students presenting their findings, and the event is gonna be this Friday from 8 AM till 1 at the new Maverick Gateway Center. And let's hope there's gonna be more students participating down the years. So that was my Senator project. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we're just gonna table questions for our senators just because we gotta move on. And then Senator Reyes is submitting a written report, just so you all know. Yep. So he'll send that out in Teams. So he'll send it to me and then I'll put it in Teams. If you want to. It is. Perfect, great. Don't need to worry about that. Sorry, that was a last minute change. Senator Livingston, if you wanna keep it brief?
Yeah, keep it brief. Over the course of March, I've been, with the help of other senators, we've been doing tabling with emphasis on pedestrian safety and driver awareness. We've handed out over 100 reflective bans, and I'm excited to see those out in the community, keep people safe. Alongside that, handed out some informational flyers that I created on Canva. Had some critical conversations, people raise awareness about what has happened in the past semester and what can we do in the future.
Thank you. And then I skipped over Senator Zellner, sorry.
All good. So Narcan got passed, yay, thank you all so much. I look forward to hearing back from Roshit on how that meeting goes with Inch and their thoughts. Me and Charles's electric scooter thing is going good. We are planning on setting up a meeting with facilities to find places to put those. I had a meeting with Provost Hood yesterday about my freshman advising project, and I plan to meet with Sarah as a follow-up for some of Hood's kind of recommendations. I started a new project about providing more info of what Res Life students can get from front desks, so that's going well. I just need to organize all the stuff that I got and then work with PR and marketing on posters, and I think that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. So that's all of our reports. We're moving to announcements, and I know President Narala has something real quick.
Folks, if you don't have anything right after Senate, would you be so kind to sit back? I have friends from computer science department that have created an amazing section of a website for senators to vote online in real time, that you could try it out from your laptops or smartphones. And there's also a section for attorney appointments that we're still testing out, but we wanted to check out the senator voting platform and see how that works out in real time. So we'll have them do their little presentation, but we'll do it right after Senate. So if you do have time, and I know if you have commitments, you're more than happy to head out, but if you have time, please sit back so that we will be able to test it out and give them feedbacks for the next 4 weeks. I do believe code freeze is in 2 weeks, so they'll be coding for the next 2 weeks before they're done, but please sit back, thank you.
Senator Isaac.
Yes, I wanted to invite you all this Friday from 4 to 5 we are gonna have from the Maverick Involvement Team an activity about mass communications, responsible communications, and new ways to make audiovisual language. We are also submitting a contest on audiovisual production. If you like taking pictures, if you like taking videos, if you know someone, tell them to submit it. There's gonna be prizes, there's gonna be snacks in the event. We're gonna be hosting Dr. Amy Lauders, which is a doctor in mass communications. It's gonna be fun. I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Riggle?
The AV contest should be fun. My roommate submitted some stuff for that, so I'm rooting for them. Anyway, so it is April, my friends, and April is Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. All month, the Violence Awareness and Response Program will be tabling on MAVAV every week to bring awareness and prevention education to people of this campus alongside fraternity and sorority life, who is also supporting us with their own tabling efforts. I will probably mention this again later, but later in the month we are having Take Back the Night, which is our big Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month event, and I can give some more info on that as that gets closer. Also, every Tuesday, we will be observing as Teal Tuesday, the opportunity to wear teal ribbons in support of sexual assault survivors. If you don't have any of those, stop by the VARP office at any time because we have plenty. And we're also handing those out every time that we table on MAVAV. Thank you.
Senator Zelmer?
Where is the VARP office?
It is in the Women's Center.
And lastly, before we wrap up, when President Narala and I got our tabling sign-up sheet back, we were very disappointed that nobody signed up. If you do not have class, or if you do not have a job that you are going to, we're not gonna say you are required to table, but you can kind of interpret it that way. So if you don't have either of those two options, like deferring you from tabling, and it doesn't have to be the whole hour, it could be a half hour, it could be 45 minutes. Like I said, we're not using the language mandate or required, but you can interpret it that way. So I'm gonna pass this around again, and I hope to see more than just, me and the vice president contributing our time to this effort. Thank you. Any other announcements?
I'll also be
President Narala.
posting this online on Teams, so that way for folks who are online on Zoom, and then for folks who are not around the table, they'll also be able to sign up on that Excel sheet.
Yes, we'll get the Excel sheet posted to Teams for people on Zoom. Thanks. Alrighty, any other announcements? Senator Ponte?
If you guys are free on Friday from 8 a.m. till 1, just pop by the Maverick Gateway Center, see the research either by faculty members or by students. It should be fun.
I have a question.
Yes.
Where's the Maverick Gateway Center?
It's right across, do you know where YouTube President Narala?
It's right across the street next to, if you walk straight past Jimmy John's, to the way to American.
Oh, is it that building there?
Yeah, it's the one it's the square building right in front of the U Square construction that's going on. It's
They
pretty
have
easy
the purple
to navigate.
MSU tables out there. Yes, John. But
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Again, congratulations to all. You made it through some very tough decisions over the past week, and I know it is a very tough time on campus, not only on campus, but also in the world right now. And so, as your advisor, I want to encourage you to be open to dialogue with other people, to think critically, to ask questions of those around, but also to be respectful. We know that there's, like I said, it's not only a tough time on campus, but just in the world in general with everything that's going on. And so do your best to keep a level head in all your interactions and remember the students who you represent as a whole. So I admire your ability to have difficult conversations and encourage you to do so in a way that you'll be proud of when you look back on it. That being said, there is a lot going on in the next few weeks. Hold on to your seats, folks. Things don't get any easier. I will tell you, I'm gonna invite you all on behalf of the fraternity and sorority community. We do have Greek Week next week. So Monday from 11 to 1, there's a free community cookout. Come out, grab a hot dog, chips and a drink out on the CSU Mall. If the weather turns worse than it looks right now, we'll be down in the Hearth Lounge, but right now it looks like we're gonna be moving forward with the event outside. Also, one of the highlights of the year is next Thursday evening at 7 o'clock in Ostrander. You will see the lip sync event, which is always a well looked forward to event on campus. And following that at 9 o'clock, there will be the lip sync after party at Applebee's, with portion of the proceeds going to benefit Mavathon. And so if you would like to come out next Thursday night, please do so. There will be a whole schedule of events available, but next Monday and Thursday are the big ones. So if you also want to see something very funny, there is the Cardboard Boat Regatta, which will take place Wednesday evening in the Highland Center pool. You'll see people with a boat made out of nothing but cardboard and duct tape trying to row it across the pool. So it's rather entertaining. So please feel free to come out to any of those events. Again, hang on to your seats. The next few weeks are kind of crazy. I will not be here tomorrow, and so I look forward to being caught up on things at Meet and Confer, but keep going.
Thank you, John. And Todd, y'all remember Todd from the Dome and Campus Rec? He does want to pitch in his little last reminder about bowling next week after the student government meeting. So, pitching that last reminder. Yep, that we won. Alrighty. Any other announcements, Senator Ide?
There was a question, but he's gone. Does anyone know if that research thing is like, is it for all types of research, scientific
Culture
research?
business. Alrighty, seeing no more announcements, we are going to move, or were there any more announcements? No. Okay, we are going to move into final roll call. Senator Leon's on Zoom, Senator Franson's on Zoom, Senator Mucci. Alrighty, Senator Prignance. Here. Senator Emke is on Zoom, Senator Pompey just left, all town presidents, he literally just left out the door. Senator Bugney, Senator Reyes, Senator Maega, Senator Thapa, Senator Mpenga, Senator Lee, Senator Dietrich, Senator Smith's on Zoom, Senator Green, Senator Johnson, Senator Moore, Senator Maba's on Zoom, Senator Knauer's on Zoom. I will restart roll call, Mr. Senator Gargi, Senator Livingston. Here. Senator Riggle. Here. Senator Colleran.
Present.
Senator Zelmer.
Present.
Senator Ide. Senator Hilstead.
Present.
Senator Isaac. I'm here, President Norolla.
Present.
And Vice President Jay is on Zoom, so now we are finally adjourned at 6:24 p.m.
If folks on Zoom wanna stay on Zoom, that'd be great. For those of you who wanna test out the platform, please stay back, we'll have them go online. Yeah, we'll take a couple minutes break, so.
Where's that sign up sheet end up?
I got it.
Okay, yeah, if you all can finish doing that.
Sorry.
Yeah, people on Zoom, if you wanna stay, you can leave. Tabling does count as office hours if you're on Zoom.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was one of the big stuff. Like started the Domino's trying to initially just kind of